Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 964, we're going to talk about Abdel Adrian, Gorion's ward. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. You have to forgive me, my Tennessee showing. When Abdel enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until he leaves. You get a 1/1 soldier token for each permanent exiled this way, and you get to choose a background. Now, I know the proper thing to do here is to choose a blue background. I know that. Maybe even green, black, maybe aristocrats, but I did not do any of that things. I chose a white background because I wanted to go mono white. So, Far Traveler, commander creatures you own have, at the beginning of your end step, exile up to one target tapped creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Now, that creature does have to be tapped. I'll be honest with you, I don't always use Far Traveler. I mean, a lot of times it just chills in the command zone. Because I'm blinking Abdel so much, it's insane. Now, this deck is the card drawingest deck I have. It will outdraw any blue deck, any Simic deck. It's insane. This is a favorite here. I've let several people play it, and they're always asking for the Abdel deck. So, let's get to it. First, we will do our ramp, shall we? We have Soul Ring, Marble Diamond, Thought Vessel, and Decanter are very important because not having a maximum hand size is key. That is absolutely important. I don't have a Reliquary Tower in this deck, I see. Huh. I guess that's why I have both of those. Either way, Wayfarer's Bauble and Mind Stone, because you don't want to run Abdel out there just as soon as you've got 5 mana. You want stuff out there that he can tuck away, right? Now, to people that don't know this deck, when you play it, it looks like you are playing with a bunch of junk. It is absolute junk. But with Abdel, taking them out, making soldiers, putting them back in, you don't lose those soldiers. So that's this category is cards that do a thing when they enter or leave. Like Clockwork Fox. When it leaves the battlefield, you draw 2, everybody else draws 1. Faith Fetters. You ever played a Faith Fetters or any kind of pacifism effect on a creature and then something else better comes out? Got you covered. Oh, and it also gets you 4 life for your troubles. We have Banishment. Another thing. This one has Flash. Core Cartographer. You want to talk about some mana ramp? Here's your mana ramp. You Core Cartographer, you get the planes, and then Abdel just blinks it. Inspiring Overseer. When it enters the battlefield, gain 1 life, draw a card. Spirited Companion. Enters the battlefield, draw a card. Dawnbringer Cleric. You get your choice here. This is just straight utility. Exile a card from a graveyard, destroy an enchantment, gain 2 life, whatever you need at the time. Pilgrim's Eye puts a land in your hand. Circuit Mender enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, but when it leaves the battlefield, you draw a card. This is perfect. You don't want your cards to say goes to the graveyard, or you just want it to say leaves the battlefield. So Circuit Mender is perfect. We have the Loyal Warhound. Controls more land. That's only going to work for so long because we're going to have way more lands unless you've got somebody playing, green land ramp. It's probably not going to last that long. Reverent Hoplite. Here you go. Create a number of 1/1 white tokens equal to your devotion to white. Whoa, because when Abdel leaves, all that stuff comes back into play at the same time. They seize each other. Priest of Ancient Lore enters the battlefield. Gain a life, draw a card. Miles of the Wellspring. enters or is put into a graveyard. That last part's not going to do us any good. You get a land, put it in your hand, okay. Rabble Rousing. This is one not a lot of people think of, but your hideaway enchantments or hideaway permanents, they're, I guess, not lands. Once you get the card out from underneath it and you play it, your hideaway is blank, useless text. So you can keep hiding stuff away. Wall of Omens enters play, draws a card. Prophetic Prism enters play, draws a card. Skittering Surveyor puts a land in your hand. Wisp Weaver Angel enters the battlefield. You may exile another target creature you control and then return it back. So this is wild. Absolutely wild. Abdel is kind of almost immune from board wipes and spot removal because you get to the point to where you're like, please, shoot him, kill him, wipe the board. I don't care. Because I'll get all my stuff back and I'll just play him from the command zone again. Scouting Hawk. The more lands than you think. Philidar Guardian. This is another blink trigger, essentially, for your commander or whatever. I mean, you can put the Guardian up underneath. It's wild. It is absolutely wild. Sanctifier Invec. Here again, we are faced with one of those, I got rid of all Rakdos cards from graveyards, and then the zombie player starts filling up the graveyard again. Yeah, just pop it in and out. The Mirror Ball, the Battle Sphere. Hey, I'll make mirror tokens in addition to my soldier tokens. That sounds cool. Aven Rift Watcher. Vanishing, it's never going to matter. Flying, probably never going to matter. But enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield. You gain 2 life. Banishing Light. Do we already have Banishing Light? No, I don't have 2 Banishing Lights in this deck, do I? I think we had something that did something like Banishing Light. Oh, Banishment. Okay, yeah. Woo! Getting old, y'all. Rescuer Schwinga. Whatever that is, I don't know. But you can bounce permanents you control its owner's hand. The Ichor Wellspring. ETB draw card. Now, Meteor Golem. This is more of a late game thing, but once you get that Meteor Golem under Abdel and you start blinking Abdel 4 times a turn, that it matters. Ecologist Terrarium. Yeah, like I said, it looks like we are playing just a ton of junk. Like, what are you even playing? What are you doing? I'm doing the things, you know. It looks the deck looks Glorious Protector. The deck looks very non-threatening to people who have not played against it. And once you get going, it's almost impossible to stop. So, in doing all of this, we are going to need some blink spells, right? So, we have your typical suite here. Now, most of these are instants. Some are not. We'll go through them first. Like the teleportation circle. At the beginning of your end step, you get to exile 1 and then return that card back. So you get a whole nother pow. This is why the Far Traveler doesn't matter as much, because Abdel's never going to be tapped. He's constantly going to be sick, y'all. It's just the way it is. Flicker Wisp, can blink him. Restoration Angel can blink him. But then the rest of these are instants. Now, how I play the instance is I wait until somebody is going to target him with something. And once they target him with something, I will, cast Ephemerate. Be like, hey, target you control, exile it, and then bring it back. So, The beautiful part about the blink, I'll explain this because I've kind of glossed over it thus far, is once you blink Abdel, all the things that Abdel had tucked away come back. And they all have their enter the battlefield effects go off. And then the blink resolves and puts Abdel back in play, and he will scoop up all those things again, triggering not only the Leaves battlefield effects, but also the massive token generation, which isn't going to start off massive. You're going to do 1, 2, 3 tokens at a time, and your opponent's like, oh, that's cute. But then later on, when you're like, you tried to kill my thing, I will juice the Car's portal, blink him out and back in, and you're making 10 tokens at a time. It's insane. Cloud Shift, Flicker of Fate, and Otherworldly Journey. Just take it out, put it back in. And the beautiful part about targeted removal is once you blink something out and in, it's a new permanent. The targeted spell, it will fizzle because that's not the same card they aimed it at. I don't have a whole lot of Soul Sister stuff that would make sense. I had the Soul Sister things in there earlier, like Daxos and Soul Warden and all that stuff. But I found I was scooping them under Abdel more times than not. So I'm down to just Daxos, and to be honest with you, I may take him out at some point in time. Rumor Gatherer. Scry 1 if the second time draw cards. That's a kind of a weaker spot too. And then we have Lunarch Veteran. Enters the battlefield under your control. You gain a life. I don't really care ever flipping it. Let's look at removal, shall we? Of course, we have the Sword of Plowshare, Path to Exile. Trapped in the Tower, there again, this can be one of those things you blink. Crib Swap is a great one. Exile target creature. Depopulate's just a great card. Now, I'm never going to draw a card, but I wanted the 4-mana Wrath here, and I didn't have a Wrath. But a lot of times, we don't really care. Yeah, sure. Destroy them all. Kill it. Well, I want you to. I get all my stuff back. I draw all these cards, get all this land, blah, blah, blah. Go for it. But now, Catapult Master, I have in the removal suite because the amount of soldiers that we create is insane. The soldier tokens. So, tap 5 untapped soldiers you control to exile target creature. Now, we're going to go back to the basics here for some of the newer players. The colon designates abilities, right? Everything that is before the colon is a cost, and everything after the colon is the effect. So, the reason why I point this out is you are tapping those soldiers for this effect. It does not matter if they have summoning sickness. You can, to pay a cost, you can tap 5 sick creatures, 5 sick tokens you just got to exile target creature. Something not a lot of folks know. Then, of course, we have Martial Coup, because, blow it all up and I get more soldiers. Why not? Speaking of soldiers, get a little, Intangible Virtue, that's pretty neat. In a pinch, early game, you can use this as one of the things you scoop, and you can keep scooping it till it matters, and then you don't scoop it no more, and it's out there till you need it. Same thing with Phantom General and the Dictate of Heliod. Now, I know +2/+2 for 5 mana is not just a great rate, but you get enough tokens, it sure enough is. Then the rest of what we have is our, the miscellaneous category. I love Brave the Elements. A lot of people use it defensively. I love using it offensively. That mono-color deck that's across the table, I can say, my creatures have protection for black, and you can't block it because all you have is black. And you swing in for the win that way. It also works conversely, I love protection. The thing to remember about protection is that It's a det, D-E-B-T. D is for damage, E is for enchanted equipped, B is for blocked, and T is for targeting. Those are the only things that it affects. Unbreakable Formation. This is a beautiful card. Yeah. If you cast it during your main phase, nobody ever does. I've never done that. This is an anti-board wipe. There are times late game where you're going to want this. In the early game, yeah, let them board wipe. You just get your stuff back, build up a new army. But if you're 20 or 30 tokens invested into the board, you might want to save them. Kind of like the Wanderer. The more times that Blasphemous Act and Chain Reaction gets printed, man, they're out there. And if somebody's got red in their deck, you can bet they got at least a Blast Act. Especially around here, since we play the bigger games, nobody's ever paid more than 1 mana for a Blast Act. And, check this out. The Wanderer comes in with 5 loyalty. -2 exile target creature with power 4 or greater. So you can do that twice, and then you can't, because it has no way to tick up in loyalty, right? Wrong. We scoop it up and leave it back out, yeah, in the blink. So it resets once it leaves play under Abdel, and then it comes back, and you don't scoop it up again. Yeah, it's beautiful. Of course, Armored Ascension, because there are times when you just need to close out a game, and you draw Armored Ascension, and you're like, well, this is a thing. Yeah. Now, our non-basic lands. Obviously, we have a ton of basics, but we've got our Rogue's Passage, Windbrisk Heights. Now, Abdel does say non-land permanent, so we can't do our lands, which is probably a good thing. Terrain Generator is... If I had 1,000 Terrain Generators, y'all would see it in every deck. I'm telling you. This is a great, great land, especially early. It's especially great in this deck because we're drawing so many cards. We need more than that 1 land drop per turn. War Room. I know you use it in all your colorless decks, but it's really good here as well. Secluded Step and Drifting Meadow are just cycle lands. Temple of False God. I use the temples in monocolor decks because they don't hurt as much, And then Encroaching Waste. And that is it for Abdel. I realize I got kind of long-winded here, but I love this deck, and it's... When you sit down and you announce Abdel, I'm playing mono white, you're kind of almost discounted at that point. There's a few mono white decks people care about, but this ain't one, at least for now. It will be. Anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But it's time to shuffle and cut.